Sahney, thank you so much for speaking with us today, especially because it's World Environment Day. This conversation is even more important. You know, when we talk about India's mobility landscape, obviously it's evolving and it is need of the hour. I want to specifically ask you about IOCL, whether it is, the 14,000 plus EV stations which have been put, whether it's your BS6 fuels, compressed biogas, so much is being done. So what is your vision when we think about transportation, the vision and the role IOCL can play in that?
Yeah, thank you for hosting me here on this World Environment Day.
Hanji.
It is very expansive question that how I see or how we see the future of mobility in India specifically. In India, I'll say that whatever we are doing today is primarily fossil fuel driven, petrol, diesel coming from crude oil, natural gas as a CNG, that is also playing a good part in it. But beyond this, we have to work on alternatives, and those alternatives luckily for us are available right now. Ethanol is one of the good stories. We have already successfully blended 20% ethanol in petrol, in MS, and that has saved a significant amount of foreign currency for the country. That is one part of it. The other part is the compressed biogas, the biogas which is coming from municipal waste, that is coming from sewage treatment plants, that is coming from agro waste. So that is again will contribute into that natural gas pocket.
Sure.
And it will be an added part to it. That is one. Then EV, as you rightly said, we ourselves have installed around 14,000 charging stations. But we are not satisfied with only putting up the charging station, because charging station is a very small part of the whole value chain of electrical charging or electrical vehicles. Starts from electrical vehicles, a battery is an important, significant part of that value chain where value is created. Then even going upstream of that, the minerals which are going into it, they part a very important part of the value chain. Then the power generation, the power, renewable power generation. If I have to take total benefit of the EV, I have to have the renewable power coming into it, the greener power coming into it, not the fossil power or not the coal generated power. So that power itself is a then transmission of that power, and then comes the charging. So charging is a very small portion of the whole value chain. We are not satisfied with only charging. We want to go upstream and we want to choose which are the value chains wherein we can contribute, wherein our core competencies come into picture, and how I can create value from the whole charging ecosystem. That is the whole game plan. And that is how any entrepreneur or any company has to work, because we can't be satisfied with only that portion of it. Then having said that, then other forms of energy, like again renewable is one form of energy, and then nuclear is one form of energy. Then there are other forms of energy like wind is coming up. Then battery storage is again a part of it, because renewable energy is not going to be available 24/7. It will be there for 8 to 10 hours only, or maybe 7 to 8 hours only. Beyond that, you have to have some storage system. You have to have either battery storage system, or you have to have a pumped hydro system, or you have to have some other chemically storing the energy and then releasing it in the off hours or the peak hours.
Sure.
Our peak hours are from 6 to 8 or 6 to 10. At that point of time, solar is not available. So I have to have 4 to 6 hours of power backup when I am doing the solar system. So this whole plethora of options are there, and these options plus green hydrogen comes into picture. When we are talking of mobility based on hydrogen, we are playing a very important role in developing that ecosystem. So these whole options are there, and all these options, my firm belief is that they are all going to be adding to whatever fossil fuel generated mobility is happening today. It's all going to add up, because our demand is growing. We have no dearth of demand in Indian ecosystem, and the kind of growth, kind of 5 trillion economy we are going, the size of economy is growing, the energy requirement is growing, the vehicles are growing, the mobility is growing, urbanization is growing, people have more and more spending power, they have more ambitions. So these things are going to grow. So all fossil fuels plus all kinds of newer mobilities, greener mobilities, They are going to form the whole ecosystem of the mobility of the future.
So I think, Mr. Sahney, you put it really well. I mean, like you rightly said, it's the demand is only growing. While it's good for the economy, but we also need to look at sustainable, ways to do it. And what you said, it's not just about. I mean, I only thought it as a, for example, the charging station. But what you're trying to build up the entire ecosystem around it. So it's interesting that how you're trying to build up, the entire value chain. So which also brings another added, perspective to that.
Of course.
But you've spoken about, of course, we've spoken about vehicles and mobility. But the other again, challenges when we talk about aviation fuel. So sustainable aviation fuel, which is SAF, is something being spoken about, right? I mean, we're hoping for, cleaner, greener skies. Tell us what IOCL is doing when it comes to SAF and, I mean, for sustainable future, for the future. Again, we see a lot of flyer, people are increasingly, we see that is increasing that sector as well. What is IOCL doing for sustainable aviation fuel?
Aviation fuel is one of the most hard to abate sector.
Yeah.
Because of the obvious reasons, because it cannot, the airplane that is flying in the air, that cannot carry the load of the heavy batteries or solar or wind, or those things are not available there. So it's very difficult to convert it to greener fuels. So sustainable aviation fuel is one solution that people are working all across the world. In India, we are the only company today which has got the certification for generating sustainable aviation fuel and dispensing sustainable aviation fuel with the airlines. And we have tied up the supplies also, and we have tied up the contracts also with the consuming airlines, so that they will be taking our sustainable aviation fuel because it is certified one. So first plant of this nature is coming up at Panipat, and by the mid of this year, next 2 to 3 months, we will be ready to dispense sustainable aviation fuel from that program, and that will be taking care of 1% of the total aviation fuel requirement of the country. That will be one part of it. Very recently, we have approved one more plant that will again be coming up at Paradip on the eastern coast, and that will also be generating sustainable aviation fuel. It will take 3 years to come, but that is the second in the series. And I think we are the only people who are progressing very progressively. We are working towards giving 2 to 3 to 4% of aviation fuel converted into sustainable aviation fuel. So that is our journey. We are moving forward, and very interestingly, to start with, we are working with edible oil, with the used cooking oil getting converted into aviation fuel. That is the technology that is working up. In Panipat, we are working with our Indian Oil's own R&D technology, and in Paradip, the next plant that is coming up, there we are taking sourcing technology from outside. So we will have a mix of all
two different technologies.
Then we will see how the path progresses further and how we have to move forward in this location, because aviation fuel is a hugely growth-driven sector today in India.
Yeah.
Today, Indian aviation sector is growing at not less than 9 to 10% CAGR. And that is a humongous growth.
Yeah.
And we have today we have around 800 to 900 commercial flights which are there, commercial planes that are there, and they are going to be around 2,000 or 2,500 by next 10-15 years.
It's only growing.
It's growing at a humongous rate. So, and our contribution on a sustainable aviation fuel is going to be very helpful going forward.
Well, that sounds like such an exciting journey. Like you said, you're the first one doing it. Of course, also makes us all feel better, because when you're flying, then that guilt factor becomes a little less, that, we're a little conscious of what we're doing. And like you said, it's only the beginning. Well, first plant, congratulations on that. And of course, the second plant. And, that's how the journey, I think, for SAF starts, as a country as well. Well, Mr. Sahney, you did mention about ethanol in the beginning, when we spoke about mobility. But it is, when it comes to India's clean energy transition, ethanol can play an important role, and it's also strengthening the energy security system, because we're using India's agricultural sector when it comes to ethanol as well. Tell us what IOCL is doing, how is it advancing India's ethanol blending program, and what impact do you think it could bring towards a more sustainable future for all of us?
That is very obvious. First is we are reducing the fossil consumption. The other is on the economic side of it, because we are reducing the foreign outgo, the forex outgo that we are reducing. And it is giving me a whole circularity in my mobility system, because it is starting from waste farms and then it is going into petrol tanks or retail outlets and petrol tanks, and then the consumption, the carbon that is emitted from there, the CO2 that is emitted from there, it is far lesser than what it is being produced from the conventional MS or wet petrol that we see in the normal language that we call. So this is what gives us a handle, a tool to bring circularity into the system, to reduce the fossil consumption in the system, because if I leave that farm waste in the farm itself, it will anyway degenerate.
Plus pollution, I mean that's another challenge.
If I burn it, then it becomes a pollution. If I don't burn it, still waste. If I leave it as it is, then also it will degenerate into carbon dioxide by its own. So it is anyway going to the atmosphere as CO2. What I am doing is, what ethanol is doing is, it is putting it into a better use through petrol tank and then going back into the atmosphere. So it is reducing one whole cycle in the CO2 emission cycle.
So it's using the waste as well.
Using the waste.
It's farmer friendly as well.
Farmer friendly, farmer income grows.
Yes.
The farmer employment grows. So all these are pluses which are associated with this ethanol system, and then we are not limiting ourselves to ethanol to fuel only. Now ethanol can be a feedstock for several chemicals. It can go into petrochemicals, it can go into specialty chemicals, it can go into heavy chemicals. So all these can be, the ethanol can be a starting point for all these.
In different proportions, different
ratios, in different, through
so
different
multi-purpose
processes.
use, right?
Yeah, through different processes. Technologies are there. Some of them are viable today, some of them are not economically viable today, but once we start using it, economies of scales come up, technological improvement comes up. So we are hopeful that ethanol can be used in several of these places.
Okay, great. So when we've of course spoken about sustainability, isn't about where we are trying to save. What we are trying to save is not just about fuels, like you rightly said, whether it's blending, using things wisely. Another aspect is what industries need to do more consciously is about saving, conserving. And IOCL is doing something interesting when it comes to water, right? Y'all are not just saving, but you're also like kind of recycling through STP plants, right? Tell us a little bit about what IOCL is doing, because this is something which is behind the scenes, right? As a consumer, we don't know what a firm or a company or an industry can do to actually conserve an important resource, which is again important for the environment.
It's an interesting topic, interesting story. Can you imagine some of our refineries, I'll say a couple of my refineries, they are using the water from the industrial sewage treatment plants, the municipal sewage treatment plants. Like in the city of Mathura, the Mathura city's whole STP, the sewage treatment plant, the water that is recovered from there, purified from there, is wholly used for running my refinery.
Wow.
We are not taking much of the water from the river or from the ground. Most of the water is coming from these. Similarly in Baroda, I think, Baroda, there also we have a project going which will be utilizing the STP water, the sewage treatment plant residual water, in operating the refinery.
Okay.
So that is the extreme that can happen.
So it's not just your wastewater. I mean, it's interesting now you're using the entire city's wastewater.
Entire city's wastewater. That is the most important part.
Yeah.
The second part is, which is very obvious, that we are reusing around 90% of whatever water, of that water also, whatever is coming, STP water, that also is being reused to an extent of 90% in most of the plants. And in some of the plants, we have the zero discharge also, zero liquid discharge, ZLD, which is called. So that also is coming up in several of my refineries. So either it will be zero liquid discharge, or it will be more than 90% conservation, or it will be and it will be a sewage treatment plant from outside that will be coming, and we will not use the natural water that is being fed for other better uses. It can go to industries, it can go to human consumption, it can go to other things. So we don't want to utilize a large quantity of fresh water.
So you're saving fresh water as well, obviously, and you're using the wastewater. And what is interesting is how you're using the city's wastewater, because sometimes municipalities have a huge issue managing that water, right? And because you'll need it, you're using it. So using it wisely.
So that gives a driving force to the municipalities also for maintaining the quality of that water.
Yeah, because you all can check it.
Because we check it before taking it. So that is a very good management that is happening out there, wherein our people are involved in overseeing what they are doing with their STPs, how the quality of water that is coming out, and what is the quality of water that is coming out, and what quantity of water we are using, that is also measurable, and what quantity they are using. So it's a whole ecosystem that is working
entire
very fine.
360-degree approach. And it's I mean, what I feel it's what other industries and other companies can take forward is not very often we're told to manage our own waste. Like as households, we're told manage our own kuda, but here you're also looking at managing waste for the entire
from
city,
the
right?
entire city.
Yeah. When I was researching, Mr. Sahney, I found something interesting. Another initiative out of the many which you all are doing is Terra Clean. Tell us a little bit about it, and where did the name, like how does Terra Clean, how does it fit in IOCL? So I found the name also a little different.
Our name, we wanted to keep it away from oil because it is an initiative which is away from fossil. So we have decided that all my initiatives which will be on the greener side, which will be on the sustainable side, they will be housed under a separate entity that will be called Terra Clean. Name is okay, it has come from different
That's
sources.
why I was wondering, now why Terra Clean? There's got no oil here, it's got nothing to do.
And deliberately we have not kept oil there, deliberately we have not kept Indian Oil there. It is an Indian Oil's wholly owned subsidiary that is always there. But we wanted to give a separate identity, we wanted to give a separate culture to that company, we wanted to give us different KPIs to the people who are working there, because they are not focused primarily as of now on quarterly results. Because we are worried about quarterly results. I don't want them to be so much worried about quarterly results. They have to invest in bankable projects, they have to invest in technologies which are going to give me future businesses. 5 years down the line, 6 years down the line, 10 years down the line, this company is going to be the mainstay of whatever Indian Oil is going to do in the field of sustainability and sustainable mobility. They are working on renewables, they are working on CBG, the compressed biogas, they are working with ethanol plants, they are working on nuclear, they are working on all newer kinds of energies that Indian Oil want to invest in going forward.
So the future,
while Indian Oil concentrates on my bread and butter, on the strengthening my core, whatever I am working with, because money is coming from here only.
Absolutely,
quarter to quarter results are coming from here only. So this is what we are working on strengthening. At the same time, we are developing an ecosystem which is away from oil, which is totally green, and which is going to give me returns 5 years down the line. So they are not worried about results quarter to quarter or year to year, but they are worried about how they are investing, where they are investing, what are the companies they are building up, what are the kind of projects they are building up, which are going to give me value 5 years down the line.
And not only going to give you value, not only going to give IOCL returns, I think looking at the larger picture, maybe, a greener, a brighter, a happier place for each one of us to be. I think that's where, with your vision, what you've actually said, what IOCL is doing, I mean, the company's vision, clearly I think we definitely as a country can look at, a happier place, and especially when it comes to our environment, if companies are thinking, how we can make it a greener place, I think that's what really is important.
One more important thing is, when we are talking of Indian Oil as a core business, here I'll see that most of my carbon emissions are coming from my refineries or petrochemicals. Around 95% or 97% of my carbon emissions, they come from the refineries operation and petrochemical operations. So there a concentrated effort has been taken up in last couple of years, wherein we want to reduce the carbon emissions that are happening from our refineries and petrochemicals. The kind of utilities we are using, the kind of power that we are using, the kind of fuel gas or fuel oil which we are firing into our furnaces, how we increase the efficiency of those furnaces. So those are the areas which we have to continue to operate.
But you are looking for solutions how to reduce
we are looking at solutions, we are implementing those solutions and trying to bring down my fuel consumption, because it is ultimately whatever I consume as fuel inside my refinery ultimately goes out as carbon emission. So we want to increase the efficiencies. Today I'll be very happy to share with you that there is a benchmark called Solomon's benchmark,
Yeah.
which is a benchmark for almost 400 or 500 refineries all across the world. So there, in the last 1 year or so that we have taken these initiatives, 3 of my refineries are already there in the quartile 1. Quartile 1 means the top 25% of refineries of the world. So out of my 10 refineries, 3 of them are already there in quartile 1, and we have a target of bringing 2 of them again this year into there, and by 28 or so, I want all my refineries to come into quartile 1. So that is a measure of what energy I am using for producing each ton of product or processing each ton of crude. That is the kind of efficiency that we are working on.
Well, congratulations, and for sharing that. I think more importantly, once, I mean, of course, you're mindful of what you all are doing, but what I really like is that you all are accepting the challenges, right?
Yes,
like you
of
said, this issue is there. How do you reduce it? Looking at solutions, using technology, AI to kind of reduce it, and you're seeing the impact.
Yeah, of course. That
Thank
is
you
very happy situation.
Happy situation for sure, and I think that makes us all understand that together, if all stakeholders work together, we look at solutions once we recognize the issues, because like you rightly said, we can't stop moving around. Mobility is important, we still need the energy, but I think for sharing what IOCL is doing really gives a lot of other people hope that we can definitely do something for a better world for our future generation.
Of course.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you so
Sahney.
much. Thank you.